All right, today I'm going to show you how to set up an app in Google AI Studio and how to use this efficiently. So if you start off at aistudio.google.com, and assuming you're starting with home, you go to your build menu, and then you can look at your apps. If you've built some, you'd have a list of your apps here, and you can create a new app, or you can just start from new app. So this is where you describe the app you want to build, and we could just start with a budgeting app. I think we'll do that. So let's build a simple budgeting app with intuitive visuals to help people visualize their spending, income, and forecast their balances. Yeah, we'll start with that. Control Enter. When you're in AI Studio, you have to hold Control or Command while hitting Enter. I think that's mostly because people using this are doing longer prompts, and Enter's good for putting new lines in there, where people using Gemini are kind of intending to get quick answers. So hitting Enter in Gemini just gets you an instant response. So right now it's so-called thinking. Actually, it's done thinking after 23 seconds. Now it's building files. It's building a JSON and HTML and these TSX and TS files, which will become the app files. Looks like it's using a Sankey chart, which is a flow chart. You have a left and right side, and you can show sort of income amounts on the left and then how they flow out on the right, which hopefully it'll look decent enough that we can use it. And then a forecast chart. We'll see what it comes up with. I mean, that's the thing about AI, is you never know what it's going to produce, but it's usually useful. And if not, we can try again. And then really what I want to show you is how to take the result and then customize it, and how to use all the features in here, because there's a lot of features in Google AI Studio that Gemini, the plain Gemini platform, doesn't have, even though this is still using the Gemini model. So looks like it came up with 3 errors, which this is another nice thing about the new version of Google AI Studio, is that it will analyze its own errors instead of making you send screenshots of all of them. And it's troubleshooting, debugging, and you can see all the details if you're interested in it, but I'm not prepared to read all that. So just to give you a little idea while it's working in the background, like why am I doing it this way versus why don't I learn coding? Well, I've actually been developing apps and databases in Microsoft Access for decades, over 20 years. And I'd say I'm pretty good at designing and making user interfaces and databases. I know how to create back ends that link with the front end interfaces, and I know kind of like user tendencies and things like that. So I've been doing that for a long time, but what I haven't done is I never learned a coding language. All right, I'll get back to my story in a minute. We've got some stuff it's done developing the app here, so we've got some stuff to review and look over. So this is a Sankey chart. The left side is showing income sources. and then it joins them in the middle, and the right side is showing expenses. And then, let's see, looks like it hasn't built in any click features on these yet, so it doesn't do anything when I click them. It doesn't do anything when I slide on them, so that's okay. It has little, you can add new expenses and incomes down here. So pretty basic. Oh, okay, and then we've got, so that's the flow chart. Oh, this is the forecast. Based on your current monthly savings of $2,100, you'll have $25,200 saved by this time next year. So one of the things, if I was going to actually use this app, would be I'd want to see how the timing of my expenses and the timing of my income. So you'd see, payday spike up, rent come down, groceries come down, another payday spike up. And it would give you a little bit of a visual projection about what you would have for a balance on any given day. So that's a customization that I think I'd like to make. Over here we've got an advisor that it put in there. It looks like an AI. It called it Flowbot AI, analyzing my budget. Okay, so it's given us comments about what it sees in the data. It says your savings are fantastic. Spend a small portion on something you love. Grow your dough. Consider investing a chunk of that $2,100 and into a high yield savings account or a low cost index fund. So it's given a little bit of a few tips. I wouldn't call it advice, but tips about how you could use that extra savings and then allocate some savings to a specific goal. So those are the AI suggestions. Pretty generic since it doesn't know a lot about us. It's using fake data right now. All right, so I think the biggest improvement I'd want to see right now is I want to specify the timing of the income and the expenses so that the forecast can be more accurate. So that's what I'll type in here. Allow the user to specify dates for the income and expenses each month and use those dates to project cash flow in the forecast view. When we do that, it can't just go to infinity, or else that would just, it wouldn't be able to handle that much data. So we'll have to tell it a timeline. So I'm going to say also give the user a menu to select, or an option to select a date range. Default to, let's say, 1 year. Minimum 1 month, maximum 30 years. That way we can include a mortgage or something like that if we do 30 years. It's going to be a lot of data though, because if you have monthly expenses and incomes projected over 30 years, it'll be hundreds if not thousands of entries. So yeah, let's start with that and see what it does. So anyway, I'll get back to you telling you about my story of development. And I know some people might say I'm not even a developer because I never learned a coding language. I took some Microsoft Access courses way back in the early 2000s, and I used those to build databases and even MRP systems, pretty advanced stuff. And every company I worked at in the last 25 years or so, I used those tools and I built custom systems for them. And it had its pros and cons. The pros were I could make it do pretty much anything I wanted. The cons were that when something broke or Microsoft released updates or patches, sometimes it would break my stuff, and I was the guy everyone came to fix it or to make modifications. So that got to be annoying because I had a full-time job as a purchasing manager and supply chain manager during most of those years. So I couldn't spend too much time on app development, but just kind of slow and steady. I built them over the years. And now I'm just so happy that I can focus on design and development and ideas and spend much less time on debugging and all the technical aspects of it. Not to mention, let me show you something real quick while this is running. This thing is building 3 apps at once. It's building, one app, but it can display on mobile. It can display on mobile view, tablet view, desktop view. Oh, looks like it might have screwed up the desktop view. Let's see. No, it was just a glitch. But anyways, it's building all 3 views at the same time. So if it sounds overwhelming to build an app and then release it on 3 different size devices and different platforms, the cool thing about this is you're building them all at once. So when you're done with this, you can literally deploy it to all types of devices. And I have already done this. I've already built apps using this and deployed them to my own family and myself, and added cloud sync features to them, and it's really cool. So looks like it got done. It says here's the changes to implement date specific transaction scheduling and variable forecast ranges. All right, so how do we modify the dates? Forecast advisor. All right, it gave us, oh, okay, now it's doing something. So in the 1 month view, looks like it's got some specific dates here. It must have assigned some randomized dates. 3 month view, 1 year view, 5 year and 30 year. Nice, okay. The thing I don't know is how do I see those dates? I can't click on anything, so I'm gonna have to ask it. This is one of the things is it can create some cool features, but it can't always recognize how you access them or how you change them. So I'm going to go ahead and ask it, allow the user to click on any category or the income or expense card to reveal the income or expense editor screen where they can view and edit any category, including its title, color, due date, amount. Yeah, that should work. Retry. Sometimes it will throw errors like that. Like it just threw kind of a random error when I tried to send this response in. And then you can click, fix error or try again. Other times, try again won't work and you'll have to refresh your browser. So admittedly, that's a little annoying, but for the amount of stuff it's doing, I really don't mind. It's just a click to refresh my browser, and then it always fixes the problem. So yeah, so anyway, back to that story. I got, I'm in my mid 40s now. I started doing apps when I was in about 20, early 20s. And back then it was really fun. I was new in my career. Having people come to me for development ideas and stuff was really fun and exciting. Now, my life is so busy. I've raised 4 kids. I work 50 hours a week at my supply chain job. It's just tiring to go over technical stuff now. I don't want to learn a ton of technical stuff. I want to have ideas and have tools like this that help me build them. So that's why I think this is so cool. All right, so now, okay, it's listing each individual category down here. It's letting us choose and colors. We can specify, oh cool, it instead of giving us a specific date, it just gives us the day of the month, which I was hoping it would do because every month's different. We don't know where in the month they're going to land. So this is just the day of the month. 4,200 once a month. Let's change that to 2,500 twice a month. And you know, we're probably going to have to change this. Not everything's monthly, so maybe we'll do like weekly, bi-weekly, monthly. But for now, we'll use that. Save the changes. Freelance work, we'll get rid of the freelance work. Uh-oh, little visual glitch here. We'll fix that later. Rent. We'll bump that up to 2,200. And doing the first, groceries. $600. And really, you pay for groceries, you kind of go grocery shopping every week or two, so this would normally not be once a month, but we'll just go with it. Maybe I'll pick a different color, like pink. Utilities, 150, it sounds okay. Dining out, we'll get rid of dining out. What's something else we can add? Rent, groceries, utilities, maybe auto payments, or we'll just call it transportation. Maybe it'll include gas, you know, fuel and car payments. We'll say that's 500 a month, and we'll make it blue. Okay. Yeah, I don't like that. Let me just see if it's fixed by refreshing, but it didn't. And right now my budget flow is looking pretty ugly. I'm at negative 950. So the first thing that I feel like I really want to fix is I don't like having to click down here to edit things. Plus it's taking up a lot of valuable real estate for our graph. So I'm going to say, let's hide the income and expense cards and open them when the user clicks on a category in the Sankey diagram. So that's you know, one thing I want to see fixed here is we need more room in the graph, and we don't need to always see our income and expenses listed here when they're already listed here. We only need to see these cards when we're editing them. Excuse me. And then, oh, forecast now shows in the red. Yeah, I think that's our transportation costs that are killing the budget. And the fact that I deleted our freelance job. Maybe I should add that back. What do we want to do? DoorDash, even though that's not a very good job. We'll make 900 a month at DoorDash. And the budget's almost balanced again. Guess I'll have to make that a little higher. Okay, so by modifying Sankey chart to handle node clicks and updating app TSX to conditionally render the income expense cards based on those clicks, I've implemented the requested interactivity. So now you can click on the nodes. The nodes would be these, and it will open the category to edit. Added type property to identify whether it's an income, expense, pool, or result node. Attached a click event. Okay. All right. Yeah, we don't. So it did change something, but it didn't really do what I was imagining. Okay. I see that the nodes are now clickable. However, I want to completely hide the cards, hide the income and expense cards from the main view at all times. They should become modal pop-ups, which are just little pop-up windows when the user clicks, and they would display on top. You know, I might confuse it if I say that. So it knows what a modal pop-up window is. If I say top or bottom, it might confuse it with the placement in the window. Excellent. Okay, so the other thing I noticed is I can't click here. I want to be able to click there. The user should also be able to click on the colored flow area for the category to open the editor. Okay, we'll try that. All right, so while that's working, I'm going to show you another feature here. So I showed you how you can switch device views. And it doesn't look too bad. I mean, this is the mobile view. It actually looks decent on its own. It's not pretty, but it works. You know, and we can fix this later so that it doesn't jump around. We can remove this container that's making it scrollable, because apps don't feel very native when they jump around like that. And then you can rotate it and simulate what it's going to look like, and that looks terrible in horizontal view. So we can fix that later. But honestly, I normally don't develop apps to run on mobile in horizontal view. I'll either have the app run on mobile in vertical view or run on desktop in horizontal view. Even as an end user, I don't like to use my apps in horizontal view. The only app I would use on my mobile device in horizontal view would be like watching a video or something. I'm not going to take out, mostly because it's uncomfortable in your hand, you know? You want to be able to hold it vertically because it fits nice in your hand that way. Okay, so that's running right now. It's been running for a couple minutes, 100 seconds. Up here, you can copy the app, which would be if you say you built a template that you really liked and you plan on building a few different apps that use the same sort of base layer or template. You could copy it, give it a new name, and that way you have the original and you can make other versions of it. All right, we just ran into something that I want to show you how to deal with. It says, the update has been implemented, and it's so proud of all its work. It now has a cleaner view, dominated by the interactive diagram. Oh, does it now? Well, let's switch back to desktop and see. That really bothers me that it keeps squeezing the graph over here. But anyways, I don't think it made the changes. Nope, it didn't. So sometimes it lies. It says it made the changes. It probably did in the file, but it didn't do it in the view. And simply reloading it usually is not enough to make it change. So what you have to do is remind it to implement the changes. And this is just one of the consequences of using AI. It's based on a large language model. So even though it can be really helpful, it can also be a little bit dumb. And you have to remind it to finish its work sometimes. So if you don't see the changes, you know what you should normally see, and this is a really good indicator that it didn't finish. You should see these checkboxes. These mean that it actually changed and updated these files. If you don't see these checkboxes and all you see is a description of what it did, then it probably didn't do it. It came up with the idea, and it knows how it's going to do it, but it hasn't actually finished it yet. So it should go through a series of checkboxes, and then, here it goes. So it's updating the files. And then you'll see like a refresh progress bar over at this area of the screen, and it will indicate that it's doing a final refresh. And then you'll see the changes. So when it's done, I expect this whole graph to fill this portion of the screen, these editors to be gone and hidden, and be able to click on this area to load the editor, and the editor should load as a pop-up window. All right, I see that I've got a clickable view here. Yep, and it pops up just like I asked for. So now I can click on either the node or the colored flow area, and it recognizes whether it's an expense or a income source. Okay, but I'm still, down here it says view full budget list. That's not really what I want. It's still taking up too much real estate even with that. So I'm going to say, let's move the view full budget list. Actually, let's just remove it. Let's remove the view full budget list and make that area available for the chart to extend to the bottom of the screen. For the user to access the list of income or expenses, just load it when they click on an income or expense. Show the whole list instead of just the one they clicked on. Within that list, the user may then click on a specific category to open the options and settings for that category. And then, sometimes as you're typing this, you're also thinking through your thought process is changing and you're visualizing what it's going to do. And so you can either go back and edit what you said, or you can clarify it. So I'm just going to add a little clarification so basically when the user clicks, the app should open the entire list of income or expense categories. Then within that list, the user can then click on individual categories. I know I'm being kind of repetitive here, but I don't think it hurts to clarify. To open the detail view that we currently are using. So I guess what I was trying to tell it is don't throw away the detail view that we have, because it's useful. We're not replacing it. It's just going to become a sub view within a bigger list view. So within the list, we'll be able to click on a category, open that detail, choose a color, day of the month, amount, etc. Okay. And then as it's running, sometimes I just like to keep clicking and scrolling on things to test the functionality, because what can happen is as you're making changes, there's a whole version history I'll show you in just a second, but it could be that you make a change on one thing and you're happy with it, but you don't realize that the AI actually might have slightly screwed up another feature. So I kind of like to just check the functionality as I'm going every time I make a change, I just kind of click through it and say, hey, does that look right? Do they appear where I expect them to appear? You don't have to do a complete functionality check. It's just more of a spot check. And while that's working, since it's got a few tasks to finish, I'll show you the version history. So right here, it shows you the current version history that you're on and all the files that were updated. And then you can click on that and see all the previous versions. It names the version according to your prompt. So this was the prompt before, that was the one before that. These are all different versions according to my prompts. And if I don't like the current result, I can just click on a previous one and restore it. But right now I'm not going to. So I'll just cancel out of this. Okay, it looks like it did what we asked it to do. It filled up this whole lower area with the graph. We can click on it. Now it looks like it does load a list view, and then we can click on an item in the list to get to the detail view. So now it lists salary and freelance as our income sources. I can switch over to expenses and edit these one by one. Cool. It did exactly what we wanted. That's great. So this is starting to have some real functionality. The one thing I'm not a big fan of is I don't like that it defaults to 1 year. I think I actually told it to do that, so that's my fault. But most of the time, I don't think people are constantly looking 1 year out. I think it's more common to look a few months out on your budget. You know, every now and then I'll look out 1 year, a couple years just to see the future, but I kind of really want to know where's my cash going to be at in the next 90 days, right? And that's this view. So let's make 3 months. Let's make 3 months the default forecast range, forecast window. So here's another tip. You notice that that's a very short prompt. I didn't give it a lot to work on. It's still going to take a couple minutes. Most of the time, even a short prompt will take, well, this one might be fast, but usually it takes anywhere from 1 to 3 minutes, whether it's a short prompt or a long one. And I think that might have something to do with the way the model works in the background. Yeah, that was very fast. So I guess it didn't have to make that big of a change. All right, 3 months is now the default. So the other thing I would like to see is when you do go to longer term views, you don't see any granularity. It just shows a straight line. And I understand that it's going to smooth out somewhat, but it shouldn't be just a perfectly straight line. So when viewing longer term forecasts, such as 1 year and up, the graph just looks like a straight line. We need a little more resolution or granularity. When viewing these longer term windows, though I understand there is only so much detail we can display on such a large data set. So it is nice to talk to it like you would talk to a developer or, you know, an intelligent programmer or something. So you're talking to it like a human being, but you're also recognizing, if you do understand some of the things that happen behind the scenes on these, in order for it to display 1 year's worth of resolution, it's going to have to consider all the hundreds of income events and expense events that would happen within that year. Well, that takes up memory, and it slows down. It takes up some processor speed, some bandwidth, and it slows down the app. So by default, this is going to try to create an app that's really, really speedy and responsive. And sometimes you want to sacrifice speed a little bit for functionality, and that's what I'm specifically telling it is, yeah, I understand it's a lot of data, but we we need to see more detail here. So it's working on that. I'll just go back to this version history real quick and remind you, what this is for. That's our current version, previous version, 9 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago. So these are all the different versions. And I've only been using this for about 2 weeks. And so far, I haven't seen it cut off at any particular date. It seems to keep my entire history. So as far as I know, it keeps your entire history. There might be a cutoff at some point. But yeah, I can go back as far as I want. Generally, you want to check the results after every change so that you don't lose a bunch of work if you have to go back a few versions, Like if you don't like how something turned out, but you don't catch it right away, you might go on to add more features and more features, and you might put a couple more hours into it, and then you realize, oh, that got badly broken, and now you don't know where it got broken or what stage it was at. That can be difficult because you're not really sure which version had it correct last. So just make small changes at a time. Check the results. Here it is. So it changed. Okay, it gave us a 6-month view, a 1 year, a 3 year, a 10 year, and a 30 year. Cool. Even on 30 years, it even has tiny little steps in the 30-year view. That's nice. I like that. This thing is getting useful enough that I could possibly sell it, sell access to it or something. Anyway, we're only, 36 minutes into it, and we've got something that could actually be useful for yourself, for managing your own budget, projecting your own cash flow. Of course, it needs a lot of fine-tuning. It's a little rough around the edges. Not the prettiest app just yet, but it's coming around. So what else do we want to see here? The fonts, I think those gray fonts are a little hard to read. But let's see, I'm just trying to figure out how far do we want to go with this app since this is really just a demonstration. Yeah, maybe we'll leave it at that, and I'll just show you a few other features up here in the menu. So I'm going to continue to work on developing this app because it looks promising. There's a few visual improvements I'd like to make. I'm going to give it a light and dark theme. I'll change some of the fonts to be easier to read. Probably just get rid of this budget pool. But up here, you can download the app to a zip file. And you might want to use that if you have another program later on that you want to build this into. Say you want to release it as a iOS app on the actual App Store. You'll need to download the app files and convert them in Xcode to an iOS app. I haven't gone that far yet, but I have fully deployed apps on here. I just haven't converted them into iOS apps or anything like that yet, but you can do it. So you download the app, and then you can choose a local file location, and it's also good for backup if you just don't trust maybe Google AI Studio to keep your backups, although I think you can trust them. They're got more customers than pretty much any company in the world. So you can also save to GitHub. I personally don't have a lot of experience with GitHub, but I did connect it. I connected to a GitHub account. I set one up just for this purpose, and you can just click it and give it a name, repository name, make it private or public, and proceed with saving it there. This is, I'll get to deploy in just a second because that's the most exciting one. This right here is Share App. This is just if you want to share the idea of the app, okay? So that's one important distinction between deploy and share. Share is just like, hey, check out this cool app I'm working on. Do you have any suggestions, or would you like to collaborate on it with me? That's what this appears to be from all the testing I've done, it's really just to let people view your work. It's not super useful for actually using the app because it just gives them this URL that's like a snapshot. So you can publish it to create a link, make it default to full screen so that when they open it, it won't have the chat window. You can also adjust permissions to make it editable or view only link. So that's what share is. Up here, you can switch to an API key. So that way, if you're on a plan, and like I'm on, I think a $20 a month Google AI Pro plan, and eventually, if I keep working on this for like 4 or 5 hours, I'll run out of tokens for the day, and this will just stop. The chat agent will stop responding to me. It sometimes doesn't even tell you why. It just stops responding, and then you realize, oh yeah, I guess I've been using it for about 5 hours, and it's run out of tokens. And it will refresh the next morning. But if you don't want that to happen and get interrupted in the middle of your workflow, you can connect one of your API keys. And you can generate API keys from this same Google AI Studio. I'm not going to exit the app right now, but it's back there at your homepage on Google AI Studio. At the very bottom left of the screen, there's a button called Get API Key. And you can just request one. It'll ask you to name it. And the name helps you remember what it's for. So that way when you're using up tokens, tokens do cost money. They're very, very cheap, like fractions of a cent. But, over the course of a month, they can add up. So you have to name the API key, give it a sort of a nickname. And for this one, I would just call it budget flow. And it'll take you through a series of prompts. You have to have a Google project, a Google Cloud project, and your API key will connect to that. And then within the project, you have to have a billing account. So it sounds like a lot, but it's actually really easy to set up. If you use Google already, then your billing account might already be established, and you just have to tell it to use it. So you probably have a Google billing account for things if you ever buy things on Google, and you can connect it to that. And it has to have somewhere to charge your tokens to. So anyway, that's what this little switch to API key is. When you don't want to interrupt your workflow and you just want it to start charging tokens when you go over your daily limit. This is the most exciting one right here, deploy app. All right, so deploy app on Google Cloud. Deploy your app as a cloud run service. The app will become accessible via public URL. Your API key will not be exposed in the app, but will be used by the application. So this is an important part of developing apps in Google AI Studio, is that if you don't do this, or you don't find some way to hide your API key, your API key might become embedded in the code, and anyone that has above average sort of development skills can just open a certain Chrome browsing option and read everything, including your secret API key. So putting it on here sort of compiles it all into Google Cloud and hides your code from any user. And then so what you do is you select a cloud project, and let's see. So I've started another version of this. That's why I already have a project called Budget Flow. But for the purposes of this demo, I'll just create a new project, and I'll call it Demo Budget Flow. Okay, so the new project is created, and then it still can't move forward. This is the project. It still can't move forward because you have to enable billing for the project. So you set up billing. I don't know what it's going to display here. I might have to redact some things on the screen depending on what it shows. All right, link a billing account and my billing account, set account. Oh, I reached the limit of projects on which you can enable billing. You can request an increase to your billing quota if you need to enable billing on additional projects. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. So I guess I've connected so many projects to my billing account that I have to request a quota increase. Anyway, you'd go through with that. Once you were done with that part, this would give you the option to deploy the app. And yeah, actually, let me just show you, because I'll show you on the other version that I developed. And I'm going to rename this real quick so I don't get it confused with my other one. Okay, this is the one I've been working on. It has a similar layout, but it has kind of nicer colors, and it's got this drag feature where I can change the amounts, and then a deficit or surplus appears, like depending on what I change these amounts to. Here, I'll put it in mobile view just so you can see what it looks like on a phone. So I've actually got this on my phone now as an app. It's pretty cool. And then you can just drag these amounts up and down. So yeah, you can click on them. It's got a lot more color choices. It's got even, this is another little feature here. It's got little AI suggestions so you can analyze for an AI credit. I haven't really figured out how to monetize this yet because I don't want someone just using up thousands of tokens on my account. But yeah, so it analyzes your job. It says your primary job constitutes 89% of your income. Significant income stream enables or plays a crucial role in your monthly surplus. Gives you some strategies on how you might improve your income even further. You can save it to a strategy board. So I built a lot of features into this version. And then when you deploy it, it looks like this. You pull this up, and let's see here. So this is the URL. And once it's connected to a billing account, yeah, I guess I'll have to redact this because I mean, if a bunch of people go out and use this and then use the AI features, it could run up my bill. So unfortunately, I won't be able to show the URL. But down here is redeploy app. So after you make a change, you just press redeploy app, and it updates everything in Google Cloud with your changes instantly. So what's cool about this is once you get people to install the app, you can make changes in real time, live. You don't have to go through an app store review or a waiting process or anything. You literally make the changes, redeploy the app, and it's live. So that is that. And then on this, I added user login too. So I've got my own cloud sync service, and this also uses Google features, which would make this video way too long. So it's already 49 minutes. So I'm gonna wrap it up here. But in another video, I can show how to set up cloud sync and user credentials so that you can literally distribute this to your family, your friends. I could sell it. I plan on selling access to this app for either a subscription fee or something like that. And then you can save your data, come back to it. What's really cool is you can view it on your mobile phone, make changes, and I've had it on my computer screen at the same time. It only takes like 2 to 3 seconds to update your changes on your phone. So it's literally like live real-time change sync. That's incredible. and it's all done automatically. I didn't have to set up hardly anything other than a Firebase account with Google and a Firestore within the Firebase. So it is cool. It is really powerful, and I hope that helps. I hope that's useful for somebody. It's amazing. I don't know what we're even going to have a few months from now, but I bet it's going to just continue to blow us away, because these things change and improve at breathtaking speed. You can barely even keep up with it. So, thanks for watching. If you have any questions or ideas that I didn't cover, there's so much you can do with this. I've even built little games with it, with music. I built a little farming game, and I tried to recreate the Sim Farm game from the 90s that I grew up with, and it's got terrible graphics, but it was fun and I enjoyed it, so I just tried to recreate it in there. And you can create even 3D games, lots of simulators. I'm having a ball with it. So anyway, I'll talk to you later. If you like this, give me a like, subscribe, comment. It'll maybe boost the channel. This is pretty much a brand new channel, and I hope to make more videos like this. All right, I'll talk to you later.